Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to be completely flipping dating psychology right on its head. Most guys operate under this assumption that attraction begins the exact second they touch a woman. They think that first hug, or holding hands, or a kiss is the magic bullet that creates chemistry. But today, we're breaking down source material that actually proves how you can build a wildly powerful connection without a single physical touch.
So, why do women obsess over men they've barely even touched? I mean, if you've ever witnessed this, you already know there is something way more powerful at work beneath the surface. The reality is, long before physical attraction ever hits its peak, emotional attraction has already made the decision. It's already decided whether she's genuinely drawn to you or not. And honestly, this is where so many guys unknowingly lose their advantage. They completely ignore the mental and emotional connection that absolutely has to happen first. Look at the stark contrast here between rushing physical chemistry and building real emotional anticipation. When you're rushing, the focus is purely on escalating touch, right? You're desperately chasing a connection. But emotional anticipation, that's all about presence. It's about letting her actually enjoy the feelings you evoke, creating that connection naturally. The great irony we see in our source material is that when a woman feels emotionally connected to you, physical closeness stops being this thing you have to force or chase. It just becomes a totally natural consequence.
The absolutely crucial takeaway here is this. Attraction begins when she enjoys your presence. Period. When a woman starts replaying your conversations in her head, when she remembers how calm you were and how completely comfortable she felt around you, that is when real attraction takes root. Those memories build anticipation. And as the psychology shows us, anticipation is literally one of the strongest forces behind attraction. Before she ever wants your touch, she first has to enjoy your presence. All right, let's dive into Pillar 1, the power of feeling seen. This is where the first major mindset shift happens. Think about it. Almost anyone can tell a woman she's beautiful. Being admired is, well, it's pretty common. It relies on ordinary compliments and sends a message she has probably heard a million times before. But being seen? Oh man, that is rare. Being seen focuses on the little details. It makes her feel deeply understood, and it creates a connection she won't forget. The guys who really stand out are the ones who make a woman feel like they've noticed something about her unique self that everyone else just completely overlooked. According to the source, the guy who stays in her mind is the one who pays attention to the small things she didn't expect anyone to remember. Maybe she casually brings up a hobby she's incredibly passionate about. Or maybe it's a dream destination she's always wanted to visit. Or honestly, just some funny random story from her childhood. Most people hear these things, nod, and immediately move on. But a man who creates emotional attraction, he listens differently. He remembers. And a few days later, he naturally brings it up just because he was genuinely paying attention. This source material captures this perfectly. It says, the goal isn't to memorize facts about her like you're studying for an exam. It's to become curious about who she really is. And wow, this is so important to grasp. Your attention has to be genuine, not some kind of performance. When she senses that you value her thoughts and her stories just as much as her appearance, she doesn't just feel flattered, she feels understood. And that creates a level of emotional connection that physical touch alone can never, ever replace. Moving right along to Pillar 2, cultivating curiosity and mystery. So how do we keep that emotional momentum going once the conversation ends? Well, let's look at curiosity. It's defined as the psychological drive where the human mind naturally wants to complete what feels unfinished. This is exactly why leaving a little mystery is so unbelievably powerful. It's like a giant puzzle. It's why people keep thinking about conversations that ended a bit too soon, or moments that just left them wanting more. The human mind simply wants to fill in the blanks. Unfortunately, so many guys unknowingly destroy that curiosity completely. How? By basically giving the whole shebang away immediately. They reply to messages within seconds, they overshare every single detail of their lives on the very first meeting, and they make themselves constantly available whenever she's free. Now, they might think they're just showing interest, but what they're actually doing is stripping away all the mystery. They're replacing exciting anticipation with, quite frankly, boring predictability. Because of this, a really vital rule emerges from the text. The strongest attraction grows in the space between your interactions. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean playing games or pretending you're super busy when you're not. It just means letting conversations end while they're still really enjoyable, rather than dragging them out until they get repetitive or stale. Give her something to think about. When she catches herself smiling as she remembers something you said, or she's actively looking forward to hearing from you again, that is when you've become truly memorable.
Okay, let's look at pillar 3, the impact of your voice. We're shifting focus here from what you say to exactly how you deliver it.
On one side of the spectrum, you've got rushed communication. This is that frantic, nervous energy of trying to impress, talking over people, desperately trying to fill every second of silence with noise, just constantly seeking to prove yourself. But on the flip side, we have intentional communication. Think about the people in your life that you naturally enjoy listening to. They're comfortable with silence. They're calm. They signal this quiet, attractive confidence without ever actually having to announce it. So the absolute crucial point here is to just slow down. Give your words some room to breathe. When you're talking to a woman, you really don't need to rush through every single sentence. You don't need to panic the very second there's a gap in the conversation. Actually, scratch that. You shouldn't panic at all. Because calmness is surprisingly attractive. The source breaks this down into 3 incredibly simple steps. 1, listen carefully to what she tells you. 2, take a brief pause to let it actually sink in. And 3, answer thoughtfully. Just that tiny, small moment of silence before you speak. It communicates that you're actually listening, not just sitting there waiting for your turn to talk. It creates this great atmosphere of emotional safety where she feels truly heard and just completely at ease around you. And that brings us to pillar 4, presence through eye contact. This is arguably the most powerful way to connect without saying a single word.
Let's face it, we live in a world totally defined by modern distractions. Constant phone checking, wandering eyes, always just waiting for your turn to speak. Most people out there rarely ever experience undivided attention anymore. So when a woman meets a guy who is fully 100% present with her, she notices the difference immediately. Offering your completely undivided attention makes you instantly stand out from the crowd. She feels it before she can even put it into words.
But what actually makes for good eye contact? As the source notes, it isn't about staring. It's about holding her gaze naturally while she speaks. Right? This isn't about trying to appear super intense or pulling off some intimidating trick, which, by the way, usually backfires anyway. It's simply about a relaxed smile, calm eyes, and showing genuine interest. It slows the whole moment down. It makes the conversation feel intentional rather than rushed, and it builds a really deep sense of trust. Which leads us to the ultimate mindset shift: cultivate, don't force. Let's bring all these pillars together. See, the impatient man tries to rush the whole process. He wants immediate validation and chases reassurance because he's constantly seeking approval. But the confident man? He trusts the gradual process. He allows the natural connection to just unfold. And ironically, the less pressure you place on the interaction, the more your natural confidence gets to shine through. You stop trying so hard to win her over, and you start quietly attracting her by just allowing her to experience who you actually are. So here is what I want you to do. I want you to completely remove the thought, how do I make her like me, from your mind. Toss it out. Instead, ask yourself this: how do I create an interaction she'll genuinely enjoy? When you focus on presence, curiosity, and calm communication, you create an absolutely unforgettable experience. So the very next time you meet someone, ask yourself, are you trying to force a spark, or are you creating the space for a fire to light itself? Thanks for joining me for this explainer. I hope it completely changes the way you look at building a real connection.